Welcome to One Oar Boat.
Welcome back to One Oar Boat in our new series, Super Shorts. I'm here with Ann from Virginia Beach, Virginia today, and we're going to talk about all things music. And before we even get into today's topic, could you tell me what's in your playlist?
What is in my playlist? The Decemberists.
Yes.
Always Susie and the Banshees.
Good.
Peter Murphy.
Awesome.
And Moby.
No, that's completely different than any of the other people. That's more like rave music, right?
Yeah, I love rave music.
Yeah.
It's great.
So Susie and the Banshees, I do believe that you and I both saw her at the Boathouse.
Yes, you stole my shirt.
I'm a shirt stealer.
You are. But you threw it on stage.
Well, you know how it is.
Yeah.
I just, great music collection. For people who aren't into the Decemberist, I find them to be somber, but somehow yet uplifting.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And if you're young enough not to know who Susie and the Banshees is, I'm just going to recommend that you jump out there and get on Spotify and listen to the godmother of modern goth.
Hate that word.
But it's true.
I know, but I hate it.
But yeah, it's a bad word maybe. But if you want to wear black clothes and black lipstick and listen to doom and gloom, that's where you start. You don't have black lipstick though, so
no, I can next time if you invite me back.
Dude, you'll be back. If you like doing this, you'll be back. It's really easy and organic, and I know it was a little bit of a trip getting here today. Dude, I'm so glad you're in the studio. What is the topic today?
The topic today is first albums. But I have to preface that as what was the first album you remember being gifted, and what was the first album you bought?
So for me, that's really crazy. I went through a lot of music that I wasn't gifted. I bought a lot of my music starting in middle school. I mowed lawns and stuff like that. And I was hand-me-downed 45s and LPs from aunts and uncles and cousins that just weren't into music anymore or were moving. And I don't call that gifting.
Right.
But around high school, I got a CD player. And my uncle came.
No CDs when you were in high school.
We did.
No,
it was actually my graduation present was a CD player from Radio Shack. And my dad had to sign a document saying we wouldn't take it apart and take the laser out.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a security, like national security. But my uncle bought me a stack of CDs because they were so expensive at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember of the 4 or 5 CDs that he bought me, it was Van Halen. Van Halen of all things is the one I remember. And I am not that Van Halen's a bad band or anything. I want to preface that. I am not a Van Halen fan. I did go see them at the Hampton Roads Coliseum though, and it was a really good show.
Cool.
So the first album I did buy, I remember buying with my own money in middle school was Rod Stewart. And that's a really weird,
also surprises me.
Yeah, well, I grew up on the Eagles and Eric Clapton, those type of bands, because that was my dad's music, CCR,
right,
and Small Faces. And then there was this album at the Navy Exchange in Hawaii, and it was wrapped in brown paper. You could not see the album cover. And like stamped on it was Rod Stewart. And I was like, I've got to have it. I got to see what's under it. And it was a really good album.
Yes, it was.
So I just stole all this time from you.
No, that's fine.
Go on. Tell me about it.
So my first album that I was gifted was Sean Cassidy. And that's completely because of the Hardy Boys. And it was the 70s.
Yeah.
But the first album.
Roller skate music.
Yes, it was roller skate music. I knew every lyric to every song. But the first album I bought actually was REM, Murmur.
Yeah. It's a great album.
And I was
What was your favorite song off that album?
I don't know, because I would have to actually look at what's on that album now.
Like Some Great Reward or, something.
All of it was great. My first band I ever saw actually was REM, which is why I bought their album. And I saw them in 1981. My friend's older sister snuck us into a bar at the University of Alabama.
That's so awesome. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's it's interesting. I remember the first real show that wasn't at a fair or something like that was the Grateful Dead. And someone that someone that worked for my father had tickets, and then the people that were supposed to go with him weren't going, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to see the Dead?" I was like, "Who are the Dead? I don't even know who these people are." Was definitely not the Ramones, was not the Sex Pistols.
I wish.
And dude, so opened me up to a whole new world of music and people.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I think my second show was Pat Benatar.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just followed that up with Pat Benatar.
Wow, that's awesome. So I was asking my colleagues, so I work for an arts organization, performing arts organization, and I was like, I have two wonderful colleagues who are in their early mid-20s, and I was like, what was your first album? Broadway Annie, like Broadway music. And I was like, well, what cool album was your first album? Between Hannah Montana and the Jonas Brothers, like I don't even remember being cognizant to those bands, but I'm not 25 right now.
Hannah Montana obviously is Miley Cyrus now. But so I mean, I see that there was definitely a talent there, but she wasn't even a real person. So that was a Disney production
I know.
with really great musicians and probably really great lyricists.
Yes.
And I bet that album was a banger, but for all the wrong reasons.
For you and me, yes.
Yeah. The Jonas Brothers, on the other hand, they're interesting because they've had longevity. They're still here.
Yep.
They still do music. Their adult stuff, I really, really enjoy watching them live on TV. I haven't gone to see them live, but they're really good. And I'm surprised because bop.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And that was like, come on, you're playing with me.
But everybody on the planet knows that song.
Yeah.
And they'll move to
Electric Slide and Bop. You know these songs, and they're not. They don't have to be in your circle of influence.
No. Then I asked somebody who's a little older than me, and their first albums were Elvis's greatest hits, which you really can't go wrong with that.
No, that's interesting.
And Sha Na Na.
I remember watching them with sometimes with my dad, but mostly when I was on vacation with my grandparents.
Really?
My grandparents would love some Sha Na Na, and they might not really care about the whole show, but the beginning intro and that last song with Sha Na Na was their favorite every single time.
And they were on Happy Days.
That's true. They did cameos.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
totally
right.
crazy.
It's so funny.
Totally
Them and
crazy.
Fonzie. Dude, that's so funny. Any other neat picks from your colleagues?
Got a lot of classical artists that I work with. So one gal said all the recordings of Gershwin.
That doesn't count.
Well,
that doesn't even count.
I know.
Yeah,
she's a classical pianist.
It does count. I'm gonna lie. I lied. It
James
does count.
Galway.
No, don't even know who that is.
Oh, wow. I'm actually shocked.
I am sheltered.
You are.
I'm sheltered. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I look at my music knowledge as the depth and width of what I know and talk about as being pretty broad. But there is a point where I'm like, no, I don't know. So I listened to a guy earlier this morning and I was like, that sounds like Nick Cave. And I was like, no, it sounds like it's from Nick Cave in New Orleans playing gypsy music. and I'm the only person who's going to understand that, except maybe you.
Yeah. Anything Nick Cave. Yeah. Kind of awesome.
Yes.
Kind of awesome.
I enjoyed this talk.
Yeah, me too. This was fun. Let's do it again.
Yes. I'll have you on soon, okay?
Awesome. See you later.
Later.
Peace.
Before we go, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. And if you found value in what we shared today, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and it helps others discover the show too. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on social media or through our website.